Welcome back, I'm Melissa Muir. In the last two videos, I talked a little bit about the UltraMax Mini ultrasonic polisher. In those two videos, I introduced you to the machine as well as the accessories. In the last video, we dove a little bit deeper into those accessories, and in this video, I'm going to show you how I can use them on two different styles of rings. Now, the possibilities with this really are endless, and it's not until you really just jump in and start to use it that you really find out the power of this machine. But let's take a look at some cast rings. They've just come from the casting. They have grow lines, they still have sprues. So let's talk a little bit about the process that I'm going to use and clean these up, and we'll see what it looks like. This ring is fresh from casting. It has been detached from the tree, but you see that we still have 3 sprues that need to be removed. In addition, we see a lot of grow lines from where the 3D printer has kind of left its mark. We also have some curved detail that I do not want to soften and remove. I could go at this with a file, but that may take more time than I want. Now, one thing I'm going to say on this is it is so important that you use the proper protection. So making certain that you are either wearing a mask and eye protection, or you're working in some kind of enclosed vacuum station. The particles that are created with using the ultrasonic polisher, as well as fine materials that are coming off of the materials that I am working on, are so small, and it is definitely not something that you are going to want to be aspirating and bringing into your system, because they are things that are not going to leave. So make certain that you take the proper precautions. One of the faster ways to remove a lot of metal quickly is to use a heatless abrasive wheel. It makes very quick work of cutting these sprues down to the shank of the ring. And once I have that down pretty close to the shank, then I like to move to a file to fine tune and finish that up. In my studio, the ceramic stones are used the most. There are 3 and occasionally a 4th. From the finest to the most coarse, it starts with the red at 1200, then white at 1000, blue at 800, and light brown at 300 if I need something really aggressive. Now, there are more, but these are what's used most often in my studio. I start by loading my tool holder in the handpiece, making certain to use that tool holder to adjust the tension properly. Then I can insert the stone and tighten it with the set screw. I'm going to start on the flat side of the ring where the grow lines are the most prominent and easy to get to. I've already shaped the one side of my stone so that it'll be a little more efficient and leave me with a much cleaner surface. While I can work in a back and forth motion, I find that I see the results a little bit better when I use a forward pushing motion. And you can also see the little pile of material that is removed just ahead of my abrasive accessory. And here you can see that we have done about a 1/5 of this side, and you can see a very clear difference between the area that we have done versus the rest of it that has not yet been done. Now, I can also use this to work on flat areas of the bezel. The accessory is great for these flat surfaces, and in this case, it's not so great at getting into these tiny little corners or where the bezel meets the ring shank. However, it would only take just a little bit of reshaping, and then it will fit beautifully. In the case of this ring, my goal is to remove the grow lines. I am not going to be taking it to a high polish, but rather a pre-polish. In this ring, I'm using a carbide burnisher to get into the gallery section and the head, where it is sometimes difficult to get in with any polishing accessories or files if the need arises. The carbide burnisher will burnish the material to a mirror finish as long as that burnisher itself has that mirror polish. Once the rings are ready, it is time then to move to the next step. After using the ultrasonic polisher, these are now at a pre-polished state. I could take them further, but this is where I'm at. Now I can move to a cotton or muslin buff with a pre-polish such as my Luxor pink, and then finish it up with my Luxor white with a soft cotton buff for a nice final finish. But what if I just try the Luxor pink without removing the grow lines? So here's what we started with. I had the ring where we have all of the different growth lines. And just to show you a couple of different things, if I just were to go in and hit this with a really aggressive pre-polish, so this is going to be one that removes any hard scratches. So in this case, I used a Luxor red or a pink. And you can still see we have a lot of the growth lines that are in here. Now here at the bezel, I did do just a little bit of cleaning up. So I would want to work with one of the ceramic stones that's reshaped a little bit more finely to really get into that bezel up here along this. So again, this is what we started with. This is with just an aggressive polish. Now, this is what happens again with that aggressive polish. So you can see that it cleaned it up quite a bit, but we have still a lot of growth lines. Whereas here, I took this one to a final finish polish, and we actually have a mirror polish down here on the bottom as well as the side. So I used the ultrasonic polisher to remove all of those grow lines and then get that all ready. Now on the prong setting, did the similar thing here, where this time I used the ultrasonic polisher, again that ceramic stone in the 800 grit, and I removed a lot of the grow lines. Then I went back into the gallery portion of this and worked with that burnisher, the carbide burnisher, to really get in to all of these tight little spots. So as you can see, there's a lot that can be done with this machine. As I said before, it really isn't until you sit down and you play with it that you really start to see the power of this and where you can really use it. So as you saw in these rings, I like to use this machine to get into those really fine, tight little spots. I also showed you guys how you can remove some of those grow lines. Now, it's not always the fastest to use this machine to remove grow lines from an entire ring. There might be some processes that you would go through first. However, I can come back in then with the ultrasonic polisher and really get into the tight little areas that I was not able to get before. Again, I don't want to just jump in with some of these polishing compounds that are really aggressive, because then I can smooth out some of my details, and that is definitely not what I want. So I will work through some of that polishing process that's typical for working on anything, but then when I get into those tight details that I want to make certain I keep, then that's where I'm going to pull in this ultrasonic polisher and really clean it up then. I hope that helps give you a better understanding of the UltraMax Mini and what it can do for you. As always, if you have any questions, drop those down into the comments section below and we'll be sure to get back to you. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.